As you said, if it's part of the mission of the school to be sustainable, then perhaps the school should be someone that's making the stand and not leaving it up to the individual parents and students.
So perhaps part of the statement here is that it's good to look at interim in the views of whether it's sustainable or not, but there are many other things we do in our daily school lives that have a much greater impact on sustainability that we should be looking at.
Yes, we shouldn't single out interim. I think if we're talking about sustainability, but on the other hand, there is that question as to whether or not the benefits to students in terms of their awareness of social issues and their connection to their fellow human beings is better served by staying in Hong Kong or in its region or going to these exotic locales, as Edmund has put them.
I was just about to go back to that by putting Martin to the test. The past few years, which Interims have you been on, Martin?
I was on the Australian horseback riding, Jordan, with Mr. McCaughey.
Excellent.
And last year I went to Japan, and this year I am also going to Japan, but on a different one. Yes. Yes.
So the question is, you said that if we could have equal value interims in Hong Kong, then we should do that. Do you personally feel then that the experiences and you gain from these past 3 interims that you will probably gain from the interim you're going on next month could be replicated in Hong Kong? I mean, or would be replicated, or would have equal value if you hadn't taken those interims and instead had taken Hong Kong interims? I mean, because that's really the test, right? We can say, okay, if we have equal value interims in Hong Kong, that's fine. But if we put that in the reality of the situation, do you feel that's possible or that would have happened?
Sauman, just before Martin answers that question, I'd like to say this is a tough question for Martin because I think, of all the people I've had on my interim, he had his eyes wide open. Mm-hmm. He, I think, probably took away from that experience more than just about any student that I could name right now. So this is going to be a tough question for Martin to answer because trying to figure out what in a local interim would be as comparable to what he took away as an example in Jordan, that's going to be difficult.
I mean, I think that's a fair point, Mr. McCaughey. Martin is definitely the ideal student you want to take to Jordan.
Absolutely.
However, I still want you to answer that question, Martin, for the sakes of our audience.
Well, yes, I did very much enjoy my trip to Jordan, and as well as all my other interims. But I mean, I suppose, truth be told, if I kept in mind the fact that I would not be flying elsewhere, and perhaps maybe this is one thing that the school should make even more clear, that they should tag perhaps how much carbon emissions are going with each trip. Maybe that would make it make students more aware. And perhaps if there were more appealing Hong Kong interims, and I did sign up for Hong Kong sailing this all the years, I believe. At least I think I signed up for a Hong Kong interim, at least one Hong Kong interim every year, but
and you never got it.
Well, clearly I did not.
How do you not get a Hong Kong?
It's
weird.
And
my understanding is they fill those first.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
My understanding is that it is random.
Yes. Go ahead, Martin.
Well, and I do feel that if there were more, and if I don't know what they would come up with. I'm not here to answer that question, but I would not
be adverse to.
I would consider it very heavily. I mean, if that option was open, because I am aware of how much it pollutes the earth when we fly, and I do want to make a difference. Yes.
Yes, that's. Thank you, Martin. Eddie, do you have any concluding remarks? No, Jordan.
Oh well, in my perspective, to the question you asked, Martin.
Yes.
I've gone abroad for these past 3 years. I went to India first year, Indonesia sophomore year. No. Thailand. Thailand Pattaya service in sophomore year, and last year I went to Salinas Beach, Indonesia for service. And personally, I don't think that you could replace that experience with Hong Kong Interim because two things. First of all, traveling is fun. People coming together and traveling to other places. It really creates those bonds, I guess, with your fellow classmates that I don't think you could have in Hong Kong. And also just the cultural immersion, I guess. Like experiencing a new culture. I don't think you'd get that experience in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
Yes, Martin, you had something to add?
I just feel that we're talking about replacing something of equal value or of cultural significance, etc. But do we necessarily need to replace that? I mean, if our aim is to minimize the impact on the earth, to be sustainable, to be environmentally friendly, then perhaps that is something we have to sacrifice. That is something that we have to, that is something we have to give up, the cultural experience and whatnot, and settle for something that may not be of equal value, but is still valuable and also benefits the local community and also does not pollute the earth. Perhaps we don't need to look for something that is necessarily equatable, but we know that we have made a difference in the earth by not flying, and that's reward enough.
And that's a very moral and upright standpoint, and we applaud you for it, Martin. And it also leads me perfectly into a last statement I'd like to make, and perhaps ask our listeners to comment on our Facebook and Tumblr. And that is in the end, is the question of airplane and flying and sustainability really in our hands of us making the decision of, we're not going to fly an interim, is not the final of the best way to perhaps solve this problem of our lifestyle of flying and carbon emissions, of development, of perhaps improving airplanes so there are less carbon emissions, improving cars. I personally really feel that the question of interim and sustainability is in many ways very perhaps an illusion of ourselves trying to be green and environmentally friendly, because the long-term improvement will not come from us trying not to use airplane travel, but by improving airplane travel so that the world as a whole becomes more environmentally friendly. So all our listeners are welcome to, please are invited to comment on this topic and express your own opinions and perhaps respond to what we have said today. Once again, the latest news on Radio HKIS can always be accessed from both our Tumblr, radiohks.tumblr.com, and our Facebook group. Thank you, our guests, Mr. McCaughey and Jordan and Martin and Edmund, for joining us today. And this was the first episode of the Open Forum. Thank you, and see you next time.